Hello, welcome back to the 303 YouTube channel. My name is Ollie, I'm the founder of 303. If you don't know what 303 is and you stumbled across this video, we are the creative performance agency for premium and luxury brands. I myself founded the agency a very long time ago now, over 10 years ago. And over the last 10 years, we've been working with an incredible amount of brands across various different industries, but predominantly within premium and luxury. Today, we're going to talk about something that I think is underrated. Something that I think is an opportunity for you if you're in a premium luxury brand. You might be the owner, you might be the brand manager, you might be the marketing manager. I think this is an opportunity for you when it comes to retention marketing. And particularly within that first interaction of gaining data into your premium luxury brand. Just to give you an insight into our background here. So at 303, we are a creative performance agency. We manage new customer acquisition, so paid ads, paid social, paid search, programmatic. We also manage retention, which is what we're talking about today, which is email marketing, SMS, WhatsApp business, etc. And then we also do things like organic social and content creation as well. The reason why we call ourselves a creative performance agency is because we believe that creative is an incredibly important part of digital marketing today, and we spend a lot of time creating assets with our internal production team, our internal post-production team as well, creating assets and content to be distributed across all these channels that premium luxury brands are using today. Retention marketing for us is an incredibly important area of what we do as a business. Reason being is that brands have fallen into the trap of having to pay so much within Facebook, within TikTok, on ads to acquire new customers. They spend an average CPA, they make a bit of money on a first purchase, but then they lose all of their potential revenue by not retaining and working to continuously interact with that customer base. So that's why we believe retention is incredibly important. And what we're going to talk about today is the email welcome flow. So if you're doing email marketing, it's very likely that you are currently having a welcome flow within your sequencing. Often it's called a flow or an automation. And what that means is it's a triggered email. So when someone subscribes to your newsletter, let's say it's on your website or on an ad, their database is put into your wider subscription portfolio, and they're sent out this welcome flow. Now, I think this is very underestimated for a few reasons. The first thing is this is the first time someone is connected with your brand. This is the first interaction they have, and they've given over personal data. Now, 303, our agency, is based in the UK, where there is something called GDPR. If you're watching from the States or from other parts of the world, you might not have this problem. But when it comes to GDPR in the UK, there is levels of privacy when it comes to first-party data. And to give over your data now within the UK market is quite a big deal, because people don't want to be spammed, they don't want lots of emails, they don't want to be overwhelmed, and that cultural difference in the UK is really important to consider. So the fact they've given you all their data means they're interested. You've convinced them to give you that information, and now what you do with it is incredibly important. If you're doing email, it's very likely that you just have quite a basic, even for premium luxury brands, you have quite a basic initial email, which goes along the lines of like, welcome to X brand, here's what we do, here's everything we sell, and here's what you want to buy, which is the first email. And then maybe the second email will be like, hey, have you bought anything yet? So it's no nurturing, it's no kind of detail. And for premium luxury, it's really about building that connection with audiences. And bear in mind, this is the first interaction they have with you, and you're just going to bombard them with information. Often, to gain this data, brands will often do a percentage discount. It's quite common. Within premium luxury, we try and work around this because we don't really want to just be giving 10% off of our price just to gain the data. You could argue it's definitely worth it. However, there is that kind of positioning and perception element that we've got to consider. What we want to think about is whatever we've had to do, maybe we've had to give 10, 20% of first order price away to get this data. What we really want to do is make sure that there is a high spend on that first purchase, but also they're going to be a long-term customer. There's going to be high LTV. Now, in saying those acronyms, I just want to recap a couple of them that I'm going to speak about in the rest of the video. First is AOV, average order value. Revenue divided by volume, you'll get your average order price. Obviously, as a brand, you want the average order price to be as high as possible, so AOV is a big part we'll speak about. LTV is lifetime value. That's an incredibly important part of retention marketing. What we're looking to do is get the LTV per customer pretty high. So let's say you're selling a £100 candle. realistically, if a lifetime value of a customer is £100, they've only bought from you once. Realistically, you're going to want that to be £700. They'd buy from you 6 or 7 times, perhaps even a year. So having that LTV, that lifetime value, making sure that customers are coming back and you've got that repeat purchasing is a big part of obviously retention marketing. So AOV, lifetime value, there are two acronyms we're going to speak about a lot. You're probably already familiar with them. So you're in a position where you've got your welcome series set up, you've got your welcome flow, and maybe it's something that actually isn't driving any revenue. I would actually encourage you, while listening to this video, go and look at how much revenue is actually being driven by your welcome flow. It's probably the most basic flow you'll set up in the initial stages, but it's probably very likely that that welcome flow is actually driving not a lot of revenue. The reason why it might be driving revenue is because you've got that discount, right? So often in a welcome flow, you're reminding audiences that they gave their data for that 10-20% discount, and that can encourage people. What I want you to be doing is building past that and building way and above and beyond that as well. So how do we do that? How do we make a welcome flow more impactful and more effective? The first thing you've got to think about is not trying to get the conversion on those first couple of emails. And what I've mapped out for you today is actually a breakdown of everything we've got within what we would say is the ultimate upgrade to your welcome flow, and realistically the one that's going to drive some serious revenue over a period of time. So this is the 5 email flow that I would suggest you implement into your welcome flow to really drive some great LTV, some great AOV, and realistically, some really good, authentic relationships with your audience. The first one is the first impression. In this email, the subject line is going to be something on the lines of, welcome to your brand name, here's what we stand for. And in here's what we stand for, this email is not selling any of your product. Someone is subscribed to your newsletter to understand more about the brand and build some authenticity. So this is where you should start by introducing your values, your why you exist. Let's go back to that candle brand analogy. There are plenty of premium and luxury candle brands, particularly in the UK and European markets. What's your why? What do you stand for? How can audiences connect and understand that? This is really where you set that tone and you create an emotional connection with the audience. You're obviously going to mention product. You might even mention some price on your product. But the main thing you want to get across here is this is what we stand for. Because if audiences are opening that, and there's a very high chance they will because it's that first communication from you, you want them to really understand the brand, understand why it exists, understand your why, an incredibly crucial part. And often where brands go wrong is they just start selling straight away. And actually they don't understand, right, we're a candle brand. Why do we exist? Are we eco-friendly? What materials are we using? How is it a third generation business? Is it a startup? What are those elements to it? Really get that across. That's email 1, and we call it the first impression. Now, as we go through this, there's obviously going to be a time window between each email. You wouldn't send all of these on day 1. And that time period is something that I would encourage you to test. So we would probably suggest for these 5 emails, having at least 3 to 5 days in between each email. So maximum total of 25 days between email 1 and email 5. Which you can test over a period of time. We have seen it where that's sometimes over a 60-day period, or it's maybe over a 14-day period. I would set this all up and then test those time differences to see what's working. You might find that as we go through it, some of the emails should be closer together or some should be further apart, whatever that might look like. But that's a big area of testing when it comes to retention marketing. Right, email 2, the origin story. So here's our why. Here's why we started, X brand. So as much as you've started email 1 with your why you existed and what your focus is at the moment, this is very much why you started. So people buy into purpose massively. So this email humanizes the brand. It's about showing them the story, not the sale. So this is continuing on from that first impression and going into more detail as why it started in the first place. If you're a startup and started 2 years ago, this might be quite current for you and you think everyone knows it, but you'll be surprised how many don't. If you're a 3rd generation luxury candle brand, getting into the origin story is a key and crucial part. What you don't know about your audience at this point is you don't know what resonates with them. And this is where you can start to understand if they do convert from this second email, the origin story, you can then understand actually they care about our origin. They care about why we began, why we started, etc. So you're starting to identify the resonation points, which is really, really crucial. Again, as I said before, test the period of time between those 2 emails. It might be that although there are similarities between them, You want to have 5 days in between each of them. And that's where you can also test those subject lines as well to see what makes people open those emails. Number 3, this is when we start getting some product involved. So at this point, if you think about that consumer journey, audiences have started to understood your why as a brand, so what your mission is. They're then understanding why you started, why you exist, your origin story. Now what we want to focus on is the hero product. That is the next email to go through. Subject line can be something along the lines of the product our community keeps coming back for. Something that isn't just like, look how glorious this hero is. I think when we say hero product, sometimes we kind of put it too much on a pedestal. What we like to do is go, the product our community keeps coming back for. So there's social proofing in there. There's some, we aren't saying this is our favorite product. It's the social proofing. It's the chance for you to really almost get your current audience involved and social proof and give the new audience an idea of what other people are loving and whether or not they're going to resonate with that as well. Here's what you start selling. That's the purpose of this third email. So you're not doing it on the first one. You're building up that relationship point. And you're doing it subtly. You're just showing them this is the product that our community love. We think you might love it too. There's a high chance you will, being a bestseller. Showcase the product that defines your brand and delivers the best first-time experience. When it comes to marketing, something that I think has massively been forgotten is what we call a product hierarchy. So let's say you're a candle brand and you have single wick candles and you have big fat 4-5 wick candles and then you have diffusers, right? That might be your kind of scented luxury brand that you're working with. For us, what we identified there is there are 3 different products of 3 different areas of a consumer's journey. They're not going to come in as a new customer necessarily and at scale buy the 4-5 wick big chunky thing that is worth 3 or 4 times the price of the smaller one. They might need to buy the smaller one, understand that scent, understand the burn time, the quality, the materials, etc., in order to be upgraded to the other. Equally with the diffuser, some people think the diffusers are worth more because they actually last longer, or they don't last longer, or they really like the scent, or they can put it in an area where they can't have an open flame, or whatever that might be. So equally, they might be worth less, so it's a good upsell product. When it comes to a product hierarchy, you really want to think about, it's not always about the best seller when it comes to a hero product. It's sometimes the best introduction product to give audiences an idea of product quality, values, how good your shipping, how good your packaging, all these other variables. And sometimes it might not be, oh, that's our best-selling candle. It might be, oh, there are matches that we do and people love those and they're a nice little introduction product. They're a premium quality match, as an example. So think about that hero product. If I was you, I'd be testing that. I'd be testing different hero products you can put in this initial welcome flow to understand actually what is a great introduction product for the brand. Don't just go with our bestseller that sells the most volume. It's a good starting place, but it might not be the place you end up. Okay, moving on to that. So we're 3 emails in. Next up, you have the editorial angle. So this is, as a subject line, would be something along the lines of how our community wears, loves, or uses our product. This is doing the second level of social proofing reinforcement for the brand and also getting the audience to understand what other people think about it. There is nothing more powerful than someone else's opinion on your brand. Your opinion on your brand is automatically going to come across as biased, of course, so we want to bring that in. So we've shown people the product that most of the audiences love. Now we're going to broaden that out within email 4. And this is the social proof in action. This is bringing your audience into the world through lifestyle content, reviews, and UGC. This is where you can get creative within the email and point them to different content, which is just really pushing that editorial angle. But also, this is an area where you can identify resonation points. This is an area where you can identify, right, what social proof's really working. Is it written content? Is it video content? Is it lifestyle? Is it just reviews? Is it celeb endorsements? Is it influencer endorsements? What does that look like? Is it about endorsing the brand or social proofing our brand as a whole, or is it certain products? This is where you can get really clever with the testing and find out what connects. At this point, you would start to see some conversion and revenue actually being driven by your welcome flow because you've built up a story, you've built up a connection with audiences, and there's that level of authenticity that they really like. We're not just throwing all the information into one email and hoping that they convert. And as a reminder, being a flow, this is all automated. You build this once and maybe build a couple of A/B test versions and variations, and then you're letting it run and do its thing, and it's still driving that revenue. Finally, to end things up, you're on email 5, which is what we call the invitation. So this is where you get quite personal. Subject line will be something like a little something for you, something that feels like you've actually put some effort in. If you're using a platform like HubSpot, Klaviyo, or maybe Attentive, on those platforms, there's levels of dynamic content you can also bring into this. Now, this is relatively advanced, but something I would encourage you to look into. And for example, if someone in the email flow has added one of their items to cart, you might use that product that they've added to cart in this email, and you can use dynamic content and tracking to actually build this into your email flow. So a little something to you, it's ending the flow with a reason to act. That's what you're trying to get here. It's a reward, it's an incentive, it's an exclusive offer, but it's something that feels thoughtful and not transactional. And ideally, it's with product that you think they're likely to convert on. Maybe it's what you mentioned with the hero product. Maybe it's something that's selling really well for that period of time, whether it's something more seasonal, whatever it might look like, but you're giving them a level of reward. Now, bearing in mind at the very start of this video, I mentioned that a lot of this data might be coming in through discounting in order to capture the initial data. So you obviously want to be careful here, but that's also where, for me, there's nothing special about getting a discount. Like, they're very common now. You can get them in signing up to pretty much any email database. You get them every November, you get them every January, and then, often people are just waiting for an outlet or a discount sale, right? So I actually think the best thing to do in the invitation element here is some level of product reward, whether it be an extra item in their order, or whether that be some level of incentive to purchase more items, or if it is an exclusive offer, it's a limited exclusive offer. So it's only on that item and only for this many volume, or something that feels special, because you want your first customer, before they purchase for you and in their welcome series, which is the welcome introduction to their brand, to feel special. That's the objective within this. So really think of what that can be and make sure you're testing it. Just by really honing down on the customer journey and making sure it feels personalized and segmented very well, you're going to build more authentic connections with everyone that's coming through this flow. And yes, by doing this, I believe you will drive more revenue from this flow, which is obviously what you're probably looking for as a brand. But also the LTV, the lifetime value of the customers that have come through this flow, I guarantee will be higher, because it's all about that first interaction. And this flow gives them all of that context and all of that information in a way that's actually easy to digest and very concise in the way you're giving the insights. So this will also help to build the enrichment, as we call it within segmentation, of that data. Audiences that feel more connected, audiences that might be sold into more. And the understanding you'll get by having these different emails, by understanding open rates, resonation points, click-through rates, all these different sort of key metrics you're looking for to understand why your audience keeps coming back, this will help you build that. I hope this has been helpful. There is plenty of other content, obviously, on our channel that you can watch around email. If you have any questions, please do drop them in the comment box down below. Equally, you can email us, hey@303.london, and we can help you with any questions you might have. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and we will see you on the next one.